Right, welcome to this Tactics and Showcase video. It's for Drukhari, working on some new models for the revamped list, and so I do plan to feature Reavers, one of my favourite units, visually just fantastic jet bikes to have in your Drukhari force. And so this video I'm going to zone in on that specific unit, go through all the stats and options, tactics for them, may even roll up some dice as well, how they can be used. I've got a way I'm planning to use them, and I think it's the best way to use them, but this is open for your own comments and suggestions. Leave your own feedback, and if you're an experienced Drukhari player, how effectively do you use Reavers yourself? Or maybe you despise the unit and don't use them at all. But that's what we'll cover here in this video. So I currently have 9 of them, all painted up and ready to go. My unique Necron hunting colour scheme. I'll zoom in here so you can take a look. It's a showcase video, so you get to have a nice close-up view. It can be helpful for your own painting if you're going to go for this colour scheme here. I've got another box of 3, so I potentially could have 12, and I could split those into smaller squads. But look at them on the table. I mean, they're incredible models. Games Workshop did a superb job of revamping the Drukhari a number of years ago, and some amazing looking units. I reckon these would be my favourite. I think they did a brilliant job, but I'll zoom in here and you can take a closer look. So here's one. Now I've split the colours on these, so green on one side and then blue on the other. You can go for whatever colour you want, but I just love the split colours. It's an idea I came up with when I first started painting these. That's the view there from on top. Each design is different, but it's this kind of neon circuit board kind of lines here. It's just got a Necron hunting colour scheme that I sort of concocted a number of years ago. There is a tutorial how to paint Dark Eldar on YouTube here. It's a number of years old, but it shows you how to paint this colour scheme. It's a combination of a number of washes over a metallic undercoat here, and then you pick out the details, and I'll show you how to paint these patterns as well. But that tutorial's here on YouTube. Then over on the Plus channel there is an in-depth painting tutorial, and I'll show you how to paint the Venom, and that's one of the larger vehicles, tougher unit to paint, but I'll show you all the tricks and show you how to paint the patterns as well on that, because it's marked up in a similar way on that vehicle. So there's that one. As I said, each one's different, so here's another one here, like so. Another one. And all the units in this army reflect this blue-green colour scheme, so the vehicles are marked up the same as well. But you start to place these on the battlefield and they're quite a sight. And they look green one side, blue the other. So each one's different. There's a few more, just to give you an idea. But amazing models that Games Workshop have produced. Really, really nice. And if you search what others have done, there's some amazing colour schemes for the Drukhari out there. So neon green and the blue here, but I've known people that have swapped these colours out, so they've kept the green and gone for red or for orange, or swapped the green out and gone for something else. So you really go for whatever colour scheme you want. Then with the washes here as well, I've gone for a blue and a green wash on top of the silver, but again you can swap that out for reds and purples, different colours that you can introduce, so you can copy the style that I've gone for, the whole paint scheme, but then you can swap the colours out to make your own unique combination. So that's just a close-up view here, just to help you out with your painting. So I'll just rotate this around just to give you an idea of the colours. I'll just show you underneath as well. There's all the details just there. Alright, so I'm going to zoom back out. We'll take a look now at this unit in the codex now for Drukhari. So the question is, are they any good? I've got 2 uses. I think this is how I'm going to use mine. Fascinating to see the comment section. If you're an experienced Drukhari player, then by all means leave some comments below, and specifically on how you use the Reavers. I've got 2 ways I'm planning to use mine here, but we'll cover the stats here for them. Movement 18, they're at unbelievable speed. They are so fast across the board. 18 inches they're able to go. Very, very quick across the board. Weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, because the jet bikes get extra toughness. They've got 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7 and a 4-up save, and then you get an arena champion in the unit, and that gives you an extra attack, and the leadership goes up to 8. So the minimum sized unit is 1 arena champion and 2 Reavers. You can take up to 3 more, 6 more, or 9 more, so you can go up to a unit of 12 for them. Each model is armed with a splinter pistol and rides a Reaver jet bike equipped with a splinter rifle and blade vanes as well. And splinter rifle, range 24, rapid fire 1, strength is a poisoned weapon, so 6 is to aim vehicles, 4+ to wound other targets, and then AP 0 and 1 damage. And then armed with blade vanes, so attacking at strength 4 with those, so the worry about strength 3, well, the combat weapon strength 4, AP -1, so you can take a little bit off the armour, which is useful enough, and then just 1 damage. They get power from pain, so those bonuses kick in just for your whole of your army, but just briefly. So 6 is to ignore wounds immediately, which is helpful enough, and then re-rolling the dice for advancing and charging. Then turn 3, +1 to hit rolls, 2s to hit in close combat usually, and then emboldened by bloodshed, it's auto pass around turn 4 onwards, and then turn 5 is minus from the enemy's leadership. They also get combat drugs because they're witch cult. So you can choose, but it's quite restrictive, or you can randomise either +1 attacks, strength, +2 to movements, become movement 20, +1 to toughness to get toughness 5, which is really good, +1 to weapons skill, and then +2 to leadership. All of those are quite useful. The extra movement, I think, and the extra toughness would be good ones to have. I'll maybe cover the way I'm planning to use these. I think, like most Drukhari units, they're soft enough to destroy and not too tough. The weapons they carry, it's not particularly deadly either. You can give them, for every 3, you can swap the splinter rifle for a heat lance or a blaster. Both of those weapons are okay. I'll just cover these. The blaster, range 18, which you need to get in range quick enough with the speed of these Reavers. Assault 1, strength 8, -4 and D6 damage. It's a decent weapon, it's just sort of 1 shot though, is the problem, and the D6 damage is random. Then the heat lance, much the same range, only strength 6 though, AP -5, D6 damage. If you get within half range, 2d6 choosing the best for your damage, so I get within range 9. The way I used to play is in 7th, is I just unit of 9, and they're okay, but they haven't really made much impact in 7th edition, and the times I've used them a few times in 8th, these have been quite a low impact unit. But trying to use them as one of the mainstay units, to get involved in close combat or to rely upon them for shooting, and they've never really performed that well in that role. So the approach that I'm thinking with these is to play to their strengths, and their strengths is their speed. The speed they can move across the table is phenomenal. Matchless swiftness. When this unit advances, you add 8 to the movement characteristic for that movement phase instead of rolling a dice. It's a guaranteed extra 8 inches, as well as your regular 18 as well. So you're on 26-inch move with these, guaranteed, which is incredible. It really is good. So the other option is the Tyranids champion can take a power sword and agonizer. You get 3 attacks, where it's worth putting that on there. I don't think it's not for the role that I'm thinking of. And then for every three models in the unit, 1 model may take a Grav Talon or a Cluster Caltrop. So you're limited, you've got to choose one or the other. Grav Talon 3, Cluster Caltrop is 3 as well. And then one is, after this unit's completed a charge move, roll d6 for each of its models with Grav Talon. It's within an inch of an enemy unit. On a 4+, it's a mortal wound. So you've got a unit of 9. You've got 3 Grav Talons. It's 3 dice once you've charged in 4+ is to cause mortal wounds. It's very, very minimal kind of damage. And then also Cluster Caltrops. It's one or the other. Roll d6 each time an enemy unit within an inch with a Cluster Caltrop falls back. On a 4+, the unit suffers a mortal wound. I would rate the Grav Talon more because you get that every time you charge. Units may not always want to pull back. You may charge into a unit that's happy to stay in close combat, so I'd rate the Graviton higher if you're going to go for that. But I think the direction I'm going to go for is to play to their strengths, and that's to use their speed. So instead of going for like a unit of 9, and I've got 3 more of them on the way, I'm planning to in my list that I'm working on, I may well break these into small units of just 3 and use them in a more of a tactical way on the battlefield. So unit of 3 is easier to hide, to use line of sight blocking terrain, just to hide them and tuck them away. And the first use for, you can imagine another unit of 3 just here, is not to pay out for these upgrades here. I'd still give them, I reckon a blaster's the better weapon. So give each squad a blaster. So 4 squads, that's 4 blasters. I can use those if I want to, but the main way I want to use these is to be able to move them around the board. So for example, like Maelstrom of War, objective grabbing, swift objective grabbing with these very, very fast units, I think is the way to go for these. So to use that speed, I know that most Drukhari units are very quick, but these are exceptionally fast, and so I reckon I might use these in a tactical way. Sometimes if you're going to go on objective and you think, well, the opponent's probably going to try and blow one of these units, so I'd zip 2 units over there and crowd onto the objective. Now the opponent's got to try and remove 2 units. And that toughness 4 and a 4-up save, sometimes toughness 5, I think that will help out. 6 wounds to try and get through for these smaller units. So I reckon that's one of the ways I'm planning on using them. The second way to use these is that Dark Eldar, the way games I've played with them down through different editions, they're vulnerable to enemy firepower and just being, withering away under the firepower from the opponent. So anything you can do to try and reduce the effectiveness the opponent's firepower has, especially in the early turns of the game. So another method is, say that as a unit of Marines just here, Primaris Marines, is ahead of the main army, is to send these ahead and then to move up the table super swift and to charge into units, almost like suicidal charges, but trying to charge into units that aren't going to wipe these out in close combat. So yeah, a standard infantry unit like this, or a vehicle would be a great target, and to charge in, not aiming to win the combat, but just to tap them out and to stop them from shooting on the next turn. And imagine multiple small units of these charging into a battle line, select targets. The great thing is if there's an infantry, if there's a barrier in the way, a squad in the way, I can charge and go over the top and ignore those intervening units as well, which is very useful. And it means I can tap out multiple units and try and silence the enemy firepower that will shoot at the rest of the army. So that's the kind of idea. So a sort of a tactical use, making use of the rules where you contact unit in close combat, they have to pull back in their movement phase, and usually that restricts them from shooting, and that can help protect the rest of the Drukhari army. Now, if I go for one unit of 9, the whole unit has to go one way or the other, but if I have multiple units I can send them out in different directions, grabbing objectives, tapping out tanks and units, just generally harassing the opponent. And maybe that's the kind of fluff I think behind these. So because the weapons here aren't that amazing, if I did a big unit of them and had a blasters unit, I get 4 blasters, for unit 12. That's 4 shots, 1 or 2 are going to miss, 1 or 2 are going to fail to wound, and then what have I got? Just maybe D6 or 2D6 damage from a big, large unit. So instead, maybe not make them a unit that I'm really going to try and rely on to make an impact in the game, but instead play to their strengths and go for speed and the ability to disrupt the opponent as the rest of the army moves up. I reckon that's maybe the direction I'm going to go with these. Maybe you agree. If you're an experienced Drukhari player, and especially with these, leave some comments, and it'd be fascinating to hear what other Drukhari players, how they use Reavers, because they are brilliant models. They look incredible on the battlefield, and it's great to have them as an effective unit as well. Because they used to be better. 1 or 2 editions ago, it was 6th edition, they were a lot better. Check out some of the older battle reports. Reavers were units to be feared. They were really good, but now I just use them more, I think, for their movement. But yes, there's a stratagem here you can use. Eviscerating Flyby. 1 command point. Use the stratagem of a witch cult unit from your army that flies. That can fly advances. If the unit moves over an enemy unit this phase, choose one of the enemy units and roll a d6 for each model in your unit, adding 1 to the result if the enemy unit is an infantry. For each roll of 6+, the enemy unit you choose suffers a mortal wound. To make that worthwhile, you need a large unit of 6 or more. I'd say 9. Unit 9, between unit 9 and 12 to make that worthwhile. And you can cause a few wounds, but it means you've got to do a larger unit. The opponent's going to see, target, and then reduce down, and morale's going to be a problem, and so on. So I still see the benefit instead of breaking these down into the smaller units and just having them zipping about the table. And if there's trouble, they can pull out really quick, disappear, and then bring them out later on, or grab a line breaker towards the end of the game. Mopping up actions with them, I think, will be useful enough, or moving them up the table really quick, hiding them behind something, but then having an angle to shoot across against something else with their firepower. So I reckon that's the way to play them, I think. We'll give it a go. I'm going to illustrate it here. So say these, in your deployment, you've hidden them nicely out of line of sight. They're miles away, and then you're able to zip them right up the table here, and then we'll fire with them. So we'll say I've got the blaster. 3s to hit, gets the hit, fails to wound. This is the kind of thing that happens. And then we'll go for the splinter rifles. 4s to wound, nothing. And that's sort of one of the reasons why I don't think they're going to be too reliable. But this is where I think the value is. We'll now charge. So we'll do a crack grenade, which misses, and then we'll do 8 shots. Been hit a couple of times, wounded a couple of times, 5 pluses to block here. No, so I've actually lost one. But then they make the charge. 4 inches, in they go. Now they've lost one. They wouldn't usually happen. We'll try and survive close combat here with these. So 3s to hit, 5s to wound, and saved. And then it's going to be a number of attacks back here. 3s, 4s because of their toughness, which will help them out. Just got to pass one of these and it's mission accomplished. Pass 2, so I've lost another one, but they've now done their job. So you hand over to the opponent's turn, and now unless they've got some special rules to help them out, they can either stay in combat and finish off a cheap unit, but they're now tapped out of the game. They've got to deal with this. If they do pull out a close combat, then their firepower's negated, and so the unit there that's not going to fire at something else. So that's kind of their job with these, is to tap units out and stop them from shooting on the following turn. I think that's valuable, especially for Dark Eldar, which if they meet a whole load of firepower, then they can find themselves in massive troubles. Anything to help out with that. So, 2 approaches: try and disrupt units that are going to fire, also neutralise targets with heavier firepower as well, which some of the other Drukhari units are very useful at doing. So with those tactics in mind, I just want to cover the actual witch cults that you can choose, because there's some amazing bonuses as well for these. So here, Cult of Strife. Increase the attacks characteristic of models of this obsession by 1 in turn in which they were charged or made a heroic intervention. Yeah, it's okay, but that's not really the emphasis for these. Cult of the Cursive Blade. Increase the strength characteristic of models of this obsession by 1. In addition, when a unit of this obsession fails a morale test, only 1 model from the unit must flee. Again, not really a help for these specifically. And then the Speed of the Kill. Cult of the Red Grief. Units of this obsession can charge in the same turn in which they advance. This is the golden one here. In addition, you can reroll failed charge rolls for units of this obsession that is the one to go for. So now it's not just 18 inches, it's 26 inches, possibly 28 inches with the combat drugs, and then the ability to charge and the ability to reroll charges as well. So that's the way to go. Even a separate detachment of these, specifically with Cult of the Red Grief, just to give them that extra ability. But that's the one to go for. I think that's the route I'm going to go down, to have these super fast units moving around the table, which I think would be so useful. You know, they may die and not wipe out units in combat or have blistering firepower, but they could rack up a load of points by fulfilling objectives nice and quickly around the table, dancing around the board super quick. I think is the way to go with these for sure. But that's the tactical and showcase video here for the Drukhari Reavers. If you're experienced with Drukhari, leave your own comments and feedback. It'd be fascinating to see what other Drukhari players, how Reavers are used by them. I hope the video has been helpful. If you like the colour scheme here, check out the painting tutorial here on YouTube. It'll be in the painting tutorial section. You have to scroll quite far back. It's one of the first painting tutorials I did. But it's the same process I've used for all of the units. And then for a bit more help, over on the Plus channel is the in-depth painting tutorial as well. And then for battle reports here on YouTube and on the Plus channel as well. And I hope to film some games of these, some new units to paint up, some new list I'm working on. And then hopefully we'll see the Drukhari in action soon enough as well. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.